Hey, if you want to skip forward the Portal 1 section, go to the timecode. If not, continue forward. And the spoilers for Portal 1 is part of the Portal 2 video. And now back to the video. Valve worked on Portal 1 and they had limited resources to work on Portal 1. So Valve reused Half-Life assets, and so Valve made it so that the Portal universe and the Half-Life universe are the same. Valve decided to release Portal 1 with the Orange Box bundle. It came with Half-Life 2 and the 2 episodes in Team Fortress 2. Valve created experience with no other with Portal 1. When you first start playing, you're in a starting cell. It's narrated by GLaDOS. Because Valve's storytelling is based on a silent protagonist, and GLaDOS has a bit of a dark humor. But she leads you into a tutorial room. Instead of giving the player the ability to create 2 portals at once, it teaches the player true mechanics, true gameplay. This is done with a well-designed tutorial. It teaches the importance of cubes and buttons, and it lets the player play with the blue portal gun, and it also gets the player to know about the laws of momentum. And with that, the game teaches the player how to place their own portal. But it builds up to the momentum when you get the ability to create 2 portals. But first, it makes sure the player understands each new complexity of the gun itself. One of the ways it teaches the player is through the energy pellets and then emancipation grill that is at the end of the test chamber, which is added with the momentum challenge. What makes Portal such a great game, it doesn't rely on enemies, but instead the player against the environment. And I love the challenge that it provides. The game brings the satisfaction of beating a difficult level and making it feel like I want more of this Portal making experience. That I finally beaten a level that had few tricks, and the feeling of isolation got me worried that what happened to the others. And I started to be worried. GLaDOS, being a scientist, that she leads you into an area filled with turret guns. Those turret guns may look cute, they're pretty good at shooting, but it seems like a mistake. What I love about the first game is how the turret guns, when defeated, they say something sad, which adds to the flair of the game, and I think these points make the first game good and should be played. Valve knew the first game was a success, but they wanted to make a Portal prequel without portals. After hearing feedbacks from the players, instead of making prequel, they scrapped that old idea, instead to work on the game we know of, recapping the events of the first game. After escaping the fire chamber, then using the environment to beat GLaDOS, and then she drags you inside of Aperture Science. Some time has passed, but Shell wakes up and you hear the narrator, make sure you're well, and then Shell goes into a chronic sleep. After an unknown amount of time, Wheatley greets you and he wants you to say apple, but being the new protagonist that Shell is, you as a player jump to say apple, and what makes Wheatley great is he's juxtaposed to GLaDOS. Shell and Wheatley are trying to escape GLaDOS, but because she's in her deactive state from the first game, by going up the elevator, Wheatley accidentally wakes up GLaDOS from her deactive state. Like in the first game, you get the blue portal gun. The first new mechanic it shows is the lasers. They feel cool because you can redirect them into any spot, and then the second is the jump pads. They feel pretty awesome, and the other mechanics all have a satisfying sound when used, because Portal doesn't use music that often, but it uses sound as feedback, like linking lasers to the generator makes some music, or when the orange gel is used, you hear the speedy sound effect and the jump boosting effect for the blue gel. And what's cool is every mechanic is taught in a safe environment, allowing the player to learn as they play. Spoiler warning, if you want to hear it, then continue forward. If not, turn back. Portal 2 overall story is great. With the help of Wheatley, you team up together to stop GLaDOS, but you get betrayed by Wheatley, and he savagely turns GLaDOS into a potato battery. I was shocked but I remembered on that redemption line. There's a turret that talks when picking up. The game foreshadows the event that leads up to the main event, which I didn't know until I played through the game. Conclusion: one of the defining features that make both Portal 1 and 2 so great is their use of story elements instead of cutscenes. They don't portray a false sense of the player through a cutscene where the player is doing something they can't when they have control of the character. This puts all of the focus on the gameplay itself instead of telling the narrative. Instead of handling it in third person, people experience stories from the first person point of view. And the game is taking this approach allows us to more closely bond with the protagonist. Feeling a connection to the protagonist is very important in a game, especially in a game where the hero is mute. You gotta imagine what the hero would say given in a situation. Of course, there's room for many kinds of storytelling in a video game, but this is a good example. When GLaDOS chose the adoption insults, I'm not adopted myself, but it makes me a bit angry. To end this video, I think Portal 1 and 2 are amazing games and must be played once, and on Steam they go on a few dollars on sale, which is a nice bonus.